He gave permanent funding to HBCUs. Donald Trump literally had every HBCU president in the Oval Office talking to them about things that they can do to improve black universities. Donald Trump, the operations zones, I mean, you can go down a list and all the things that he's done that help black in the black community. The people that have been a part of his administration. Is Byron Donalds a sellout? Is Clarence Thomas a sellout? I mean, all of these other people
would say Clarence Thomas, though. Officer Tatum, you know, some people would say that about Clarence Thomas. They do feel like Clarence Thomas has been one of those individuals that has no interest in pushing forth black causes at all. That has been said about him for decades. Long before Donald Trump came along.
And it's because of black people who inherently are in their consciousness are racist individuals, because they don't like Clarence Thomas because he got a white woman. But let me tell you this. I bet you $1 million you won't see D.L. Hughley talking about Bubba Wallace, the NASCAR driver that did the fake hoax with the noose. You'll never hear him talk about him because he's willing to say all this activist stuff that he's not really believing in. But he got a white woman. So D.L. Hughley is inconsistent with his projection against black people. I'll just say this. Black people cannot exist in America isolating themselves in a cocoon with other black people who, to be honest, hate on them more than white people do. And D.L. Hughley is a perfect example of it. Why won't you uplift your brothers? Why won't you celebrate the brothers that got invited to the White House that won the Super Bowl? Why wouldn't you? Because you just don't like Donald Trump? And I guarantee you'll never hear D.L. Hughley say anything negative about Donald Trump before he became a Republican president. That's why I don't have no respect for these dudes. And then I'll tell you this, Stephen A., they don't never talk about the thugs in our community. They never talk about the
what?
Problems. I mean, consistently talk about the ailments that are in our community. Talk about, you know, abortions that go on in our community higher than anywhere else in the country. They don't talk about the murder rate in our community that's higher than anywhere else in the country. They don't talk about the education system that has failed black people. They don't talk about these politicians that put illegal aliens before they put black people. Look at Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Billions of dollars spent on illegal aliens, won't spend a dime on black folks. Look at Barack Obama. He came from Chicago. Can't name me not one policy that benefited black folks, especially not in Chicago. So D.L. Hughley won't talk about these brothers. They won't talk about these hoodwinking snake oil salesmen that are acting like they're activists. For instance, Reverend Al Sharpton. These people are the most disingenuous individuals I've ever seen in my life. They can go on a boycott of Target, not realizing that there's black people that got product in Target. So why would you boycott Target and in the black communities where black people work at the Target? How about we stop wasting energy being victims and start supporting black people? Have a march to support black businesses, where we spend our money in black businesses, where we put our money in black banks, where we send our kids to black universities. Stephen A., you know why you would never see them do that? Because they wouldn't dare put their money in a black bank. They wouldn't dare send their kids to black universities. And D.L. Hughley and the rest of them won't dare live in a black neighborhood. Ask Stephen A. where he live at. I guarantee you, we look it up, he live around number of white folks. Mm-hmm. So this is why I don't believe these people and why they're detrimental to black people in America.
I got to take a break to pay a bill. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more in just a second. What I would challenge you on, Officer Tatum, and I respect the hell out of you and where you're coming from. I don't agree with everything you said, but let me say this. A lot of the litany of things that you labeled in terms of problems that exist in our community, problems that exist in our country, you're absolutely right on point. I'm not here to challenge that at all. I love the last part that you made about how they were so focused on immigration, they were so focused on woke culture and cancel culture that they forgot about black folks along the way, the folks on the left. I totally agree with you about that. I've been decrying that for the longest time. And when I think about DL,
when I hear Stephen A., when I hear that all the fucking time, they forgot about black people, I would argue, I would like to ask them, if I'm ever in a room with them, what do you mean by that? Like, what does that mean? What do you mean by they weren't targeting or they forgot about the black people? Because I would argue, if you believe the Democrats of all people forgot about the black people, like, what possesses you to think that the Republicans give a fuck about black people? Since they're the ones actively trying to make this shit a living nightmare for people of color. That's what I would argue.
Hughley, I've said this before you came on the show today. I'm like, listen, You can't sit up there and talk mess about somebody, all right, and then expect them to do business with you. You've got to be willing to compromise. You got to be willing to cross the aisle, figuratively speaking, in his case, because he's not a politician. You got to be willing to work. You can't be about denigrating the president for every damn thing. Like there isn't a single thing that he says that he doesn't do right. Everything he says isn't wrong. Everything he says isn't off kilter. Some things he said he does have a point about. There's no question about that. I push back on you when you try to lay, like somebody like a D.L. Hughley, when he pointed out how Trump challenged his nationality, essentially whether he was born in the United States or not. But let's not forget that. When we point to issues, when we talk about what have they done for us or what hasn't been done for us, when we see a guy like Clarence Thomas and others, you speak against affirmative action, but you benefited from affirmative action. When we hear Trump come into office and literally a plane collides with a helicopter and he's blaming DEI with no evidence whatsoever, and they're questioning the meritocracy of something or the merits of something, and all of those kind of things are taking place, we do find ourselves. And I think D.L. Hughley is absolutely entitled to find himself uncomfortable with some of the things that he is seeing. You see, he might have gone too far by saying what he said. I think he did. Anybody that goes to the White House, anybody that communicates with Trump, I think that's beyond the pale. But him being skeptical, him questioning some.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I understand where it's coming from. I understand why people feel that way when it comes to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is somebody, or actually this is his whole entire regime, his whole entire administration is about, hey, let's fuck with everybody's rights. Let's take away civil rights. Let's make sure that we erase history. Let's make sure that people forget about how fucking horrible it was just about 100+ years ago. Let's make people forget about Jim Crow. Jim Crow never existed in Donald Trump's world because we've moved on from that. Black people are free. We have the same opportunities. Blah, blah, blah. Yaggity smackety. Same old bullshit.
Some things. I don't think that's off kilter, Officer Tatum. I don't.
Well, Stephen A., if his skepticism was genuine, I agree. My father has skepticism of Donald Trump and things that are genuine. My dad is a good man. He's acting in good faith and he don't hate white people.
But how do you know it's not genuine?
I think he has a big issue and he hate white people deep down in his soul. And that's why everything white people do, he has a criticism. When white people get in a shooting against black people, he has a criticism. I guarantee you I haven't seen his take on the kid in Dallas. That's
1 fucking second. Anybody that speaks up for black people and say, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with you sitting down across the table, shooting or going to a golf course, having fun as a black man with a lot of young black eyes looking right at you every fucking Sunday. I don't agree with it. With your platform, your star power, as popular as you are, we don't agree with it. Now you can come out and say, man, I'm fucking Republican. I voted for Donald Trump. That's what we already think that way anyways, when it comes to Saquon Barkley. But our criticisms of that doesn't mean that we don't like white people. I don't know why people. I don't know why
that stabbed the young man in the heart. I guarantee he took the side of the black man. Let's go back to the birther thing. The birther is an argument about the validity of Barack Obama's birth certificate started with Hillary Clinton. And there was a whole bunch of other politicians outside of Donald Trump. Donald Trump piggybacked off of things that people had already established. D.L. Hughley, I mean, we can go down a list of all the other things that you said. His skepticism of policy. What policy is he referring to that Donald Trump is doing that's against black people? Last time I checked, building the economy helps build black people's pocketbook. Last time I checked, when you're talking about...
Wait a minute. Kamala Harris said the same exact thing about how building the economy and helping out the middle class will help impoverished neighborhoods that do directly affect black people. She said this during her campaign run, and people shitted on her for that because they didn't like the answer. But all of a sudden, Donald Trump's just saying, hey, black people like me. Is now it's cool.
About immigration and getting all these illegal aliens out of our country, spending taxpayer dollar, black people pay taxes. That helps and benefits the black community. When you think about Clarence Thomas, this is a black man who worked his way up and decided that we do not need affirmative action because it discriminates against all people. It discriminates against black people because there are black people who are qualified that are not necessarily associated with this affirmative action thing. You know, they may have a family, they come from a good family, a good household, and they're not associated with getting a handout because their parents did the work and their parents put them in a position where they're not considered lower income or people who benefit from affirmative
You would have to prove that, in my opinion.
action. But also, it's time for us to move forward. We can't keep living in the past, Stephen A. I mean, my God, I just saw a movie that came out called Sinners. I haven't watched it, but the preview of the movie and some of the dialogue around the movie is another movie projecting black people in the...
I swear to fucking God. All right, I'm going to say this shit, and motherfuckers like Tatum. I saw that movie, by the way. Sinners is a fucking terrific movie. And this silly fuck is going to misrepresent the storyline. If you have not seen Sinners, what's about to come out of this fat fuck's mouth, please, I beg of you, do not listen to it. Go see the fucking movie. He hasn't seen the movie. He watched a few fucking clips of maybe a bunch of white racist people getting wasted, and he has a fucking problem with it. That's fucking embarrassing.
1930s, and it's the white man against the black man. When are we gonna stop this?
He didn't fucking watch the movie yet. He's saying, "Oh, well, it's the white man."
Yes, you know, the Underground Railroad's proliferation and success didn't come from just black people. There were good white people who never owned slaves, who never had nothing to do with slavery, who risked their lives to help Harriet Tubman get black people.
It pisses me off even more that he's wearing a Sean Taylor shirt. That pisses me the fuck off even more. I don't know why. It just pisses me off.
Freedom. In the history of this country, there has always been good white people that have done positive things to affect change that benefited black people. Now, there have been racists. There have been knuckleheads.
No, there hasn't.
But generally speaking, in the totality of circumstances, in the American experience, there's nowhere else on planet Earth black people can go and benefit and prosper and have a level of success than in the United States of America. And there are so many corporations and so many lenders and investors that are white that have propelled black people to a level of success that we've never seen before. I mean, Stephen A., your contract is very handsome.
He's about to say, but it's a
and I don't think that
if it wasn't for the white man, you
treating
wouldn't have
you
that
improperly
contract.
because
Fuck
you black.
Everything that Stephen
It's because
A's
you earned it.
No,
It's because you went years of being consistent,
right,
speaking your mind, taking the heat, and then you getting paid.
My response to that would be, that's true. I'm very, very fortunate, but I went through a lot before I got to this point, and it took me significantly longer to achieve what others who look differently than me might have captured sooner. But I do get your point, because I don't sit there and look back, and I don't view every white person as racist, and I don't view every policy as racist. A matter of fact, one of the reasons I've never felt that way about Donald Trump in terms of racism, Nazis, and all of this other stuff is because I knew him before he ran for office, and I knew a whole bunch of us that knew him before.
I know. And he was the same. He was a person that wanted the Central Park 5 to be under the fucking jail. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we all knew him before. We all knew about Donald Trump. We knew who Donald Trump was. He was the same fuck that he is now. He just has the power to fucking boost his fucking, just fucking stupid.
Or he ran for office. And we never said that stuff about him. Neither did Oprah, neither did a whole bunch of other people. There was a whole bunch of people communicating with Donald Trump.
Could it have been possibly, Stephen A., that because he wasn't the fucking president of the United States at that point in time, he didn't have the power that he had at that point in time? He was just another ignorant billionaire before he decided to run for president. This is his second term of being president. We had a first term to judge him based off of. I don't understand this comment. I don't understand what he's
Trump.
saying.
befriending Donald Trump, socializing with Donald Trump, and we never had any problem. So I view him as somebody that's catering to a constituency because he knew he wasn't going to win the left. He wasn't going to win the Democratic nomination because that was going to Hillary Rodham Clinton. They would have made sure he didn't win that. So he went the other side, and he, being a businessman, is willing to negotiate his way through anything. That's how I view him, but that's just me. I want to get to you in this regard, Officer Tatum. You talked about your dad and how he didn't vote for Donald Trump. Are you a lifelong Republican, or are you somebody that was a Democrat that transitioned to being a Republican because of the things that you've articulated since you've been sitting on this show?
That's a great question. You know, in America, and I say this is unfortunate in part, that when you black, you come out a Democrat. Because when I was young, we didn't even vote. We weren't even deep into politics, but you just knew if you were going to vote, you voted for a Democrat, because the Democrat was for the black people and the Republicans were racist white people. That's what it was.
That's true.
And then when I grew up, I started being more informed and started looking at policy positions as a Christian man. I say, well, wait a minute. I don't think I agree with nothing that the Democrats are doing. I don't think I agree with any of it. I believe in God. I believe putting God first. I believe in marriages between a man and a woman. I mean, you go down a list. I don't want to pay no crazy amount of taxes just for them to be throwing your money like they at a strip club. So I'm saying, when I look at the policy position, not the emotional manipulation of empathy that I see from the Democrat side and from D.L. Hughley and others, I look at policy and I say, well, the policy of lowering taxes makes sense. Thomas Sowell, the great economist, have already articulated, any economist will tell you, when they lower the taxes and taxes seem to be reasonable to the American people, they pay more into the treasury. When you raise the taxes, people try to evade taxes. Therefore, there's lower money coming into the treasury of the United States of America. So I'm for lowering taxes. I'm for, immigration policy. It don't make no sense whatsoever that people have to wait 10 years to come over here. And I think it's prejudice against some of the African nations because they don't get to just walk through the southern border. People waiting in line forever, paying all this money, fleeing actual persecution, and they don't have an opportunity because we have 20 million illegal aliens coming from the southern border right into our country. And
why do you think they're migrating from those places in the southern border? You think they're not also trying to escape persecution? I'm so fucking confused. He's a fucking idiot. I don't understand.
Hughley didn't say a thing that I've seen about when Joe Biden was doing this and screwing black people over. Because where do they go, Stephen A? When these illegals come into America, they don't go to the foothills. They're not going to the affluent neighborhoods. They're not welcome at Martha's Vineyard. They are going and competing for low-skilled work in the inner cities. And therefore, they're putting black people out of employment because black people are working for citizen wages, which means that you're an American citizen, you have to work for minimum wage. These people coming over here, that you can pay them under the table.
I'm popular for saying this, Officer Tatum. When white folks catch a cold, black folks catch pneumonia. It's always worse for us than it is for them. I bring up that statement because of what you just said. When you think about open borders and illegal immigrants crossing the borders, ultimately, you're alluding to it having a detrimental effect on the...
This is a knee-jerk reaction for me. I'm going to say there's no open borders every time somebody says there's open borders. There's no such thing as open borders.
Black community. Is that your way of saying that you felt the left did that to us, that they just disregarded black folks?
Stephen A., they've been giving us the middle finger since I can remember. All the way back from the Ku Klux Klan. They have never supported black people whatsoever.
See, this is why I hate, when uneducated black men get together, sit down on a big ass platform and both individuals have millions upon millions upon millions of subscribers and viewers that hop on this fucking show and they are extremely uneducated about the party switch, then this is the harmful rhetoric that I'm talking about. And Stephen A. is still new to this political realm. So I don't necessarily think that he's educated in the fact of and hopefully he might get to it, but I don't know if Stephen A is going to push back onto this. So this is the perfect platform to come on if you're just some schmuck Republican person just come and spew fucking nonsense and not have legitimate pushback. This is the perfect platform for that.
They hoodwinked us into getting us on food stamps and getting us with government assistance, having us to abandon our own success. We had our own bus line. We had our own schools. We had all this stuff. They tricked us into believing that the white man was the cure to our own issues.
Okay.
We had colors only schools back in those days. I believe when we started segregation, the little girls getting spit on. I don't think there are individuals who talk, but I don't think they think before they actually talk, because they don't have that thought process. They don't know how to they don't know how to think critically, whatever. They don't know how to do that. So they just start talking out of their ass. Whatever the white people, the MAGA, the conservative white people in their comment sections are cheering for, whatever the donations are coming from, that's the way they're going to lean. I'm not even mad. If you're gonna sell out for something. Sell out for that Jaguar. Sell out for that Lamborghini. Sell out for those $100,000 contracts or whatever the fuck. If you're gonna sell out, but don't be mad when you're called one. This is sellout 101. This is selling out your people 101. We had he's not educated.
Tricked us, and now look at us, Stephen A. They don't have to bid for our vote.
We used to have our own water fountains back in the days.
They got our vote hook, line, and sinker.
Well,
so they're never going to do nothing for us.
That part I get. But when you say they did nothing, I'm thinking about civil rights legislation. I'm thinking about infrastructure. I'm thinking about Jim Crow laws, the eradication of it. I'm thinking about the access to capital that was given that black folks had. Dated from the 60s and beyond that we didn't have before that. Are you saying that's the Republicans?
That's Republican, unanimous Republican votes for the civil rights.
Pull it up. No, they won't do it. He won't do it. He won't ask.
Democrats filibustered the Civil Rights Act, the longest filibuster in history until Booker just did what he did. Mm-hmm. But the Democrats were not in support of that. That was the Republican Party that was in support of that. And then let's go down the list. If these things were benefiting black people, why are we still complaining today? We've been voting for Democrats for, 40.
Bitch, what the fuck? You know what?
50 years now, lockstep, and we still complaining. We still don't have the rights that we want. We still don't have equality in America.
Stephen A. Smith in 2020 was one of the biggest prominent voices in media. He literally took a top-rated sports show, First Take, and decided to talk about social injustices and social issues. He currently has somebody on his fucking panel that literally shitted on the entire black community who are fucking struggling and said, we're still crying, we're still complaining, we're still bitching. If I don't see Stephen A, I need to see Stephen A push the fuck back on him and cut him the fuck off and tell him about himself. If that doesn't happen, then I can only assume that Stephen A somewhere down the line has been bought. This is Stephen A from 2020 when we were going through all that shit with Black Lives Matter.
Racism is still plaguing our community, according to black people. So what have they been doing this whole time? And when you look at it, they have just secured our vote, and they don't have to do nothing for us. And this is what we've created, Stephen A. Mm-hmm. We've created an environment where we don't benefit from none of it, because the Democrats don't have to work because they know they already got us. The Republicans don't need to work because they can win without us.
I've been saying that.
Black women voted at 90-some% for Democrats. Stephen A., Donald Trump won in a landslide. You give it.
Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Why are we going to ask the questions? Do any of these individuals know why that happened? There's a reason why black women specifically voted for Kamala Harris at a big rate, because they knew that they were going to be fucked if Donald Trump, they knew their rights were going to, you know what happens when you take away abortions? You know who's more affected by that because of prenatal care, that the lack of prenatal care that black women get? Black women. Black women are going to be affected by 90% of the fucked up shit that they're going to do. When you're taking away women's rights, you're punching black women in the face. Black women have always been considered and at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the hierarchy in America. So you're damn right. When they see a candidate that's actually one that's actually looks like them, that actually wants to speak up for them, you damn right they're going to fucking support that. Why the fuck would we want this fucking lunatic up there that doesn't give two shits about them?
2 more election cycles. Illegal aliens and Hispanics are going to be the majority minority. Therefore, black people can vote 100% for Democrats, and they're not going to have any leverage in the political environment. And I'll tell you this, the Democrats, look at their platform. They want women to have abortions. They don't support a marriage. They don't support God and things the way the Republicans do. What does that do to the inner city black communities or black communities in general? We're not getting married. So, baby daddy, baby mama drama out of control. We have an abortion more than anybody else. Obesity is out of control in the black community, which is one of the biggest plagues in the black community and the leading cause of death, which is hypertension and heart disease.
Why?
What has the Democrats done about it? Nothing. The Republicans with RFK is saying we need to make sure we have better foods. We need to make sure the SNAP program on prioritizing soda to our young people, which a lot of black people are on a SNAP program. That's the difference in policy position. But D.L. Hughley, he'll never talk about that. He will never talk about the fact that we've given our trust to the Democrat Party and they fix nothing.
I'm going to invite him on here. Officer, I'm going to make sure that I play these clips for you. I've met him over the years a couple of times. He's always been cool with me, even though he's been critical of me from time to time too. I'm a big boy. Like I said, I can take it. It's no big deal. But I'm definitely going to drop this education you dropping on him. I'm going to make sure that he sees this. But I would ask you this, based on everything that you're saying, if you were in front of D.L. Hughley right now, and you had an opportunity to talk to him about his position, about Trump, about the MAGA movement, about the GOP overall, particularly in comparison to what's going on with the left, other than what you just said, is there anything you would add?
Well, let me say this. I think that if D.L. Hughley was in front of me and we had a debate, it would be the most embarrassing time of his life. He gets no pushback from the black community, none whatsoever. He's in an echo chamber. It's very simple. I would ask D.L. Hughley, what policy positions are you saying that Donald Trump has failed in, that the Democrats has prospered in? And this is what he will say to me. He will give me a talking point from CNN that's been debunked 20 years ago. What is that? He doesn't have substance. What I would add to DL is I would say, DL, do you really care about the black community, or are you living in an environment where you're worshiping your skin color? Because if you care about the black community versus worshiping a skin color, why are you not out here advocating for things that will help the black community, like school choice, which is a Republican talk?
See, he's talking about school choice, but he literally just said, yeah, why are we still complaining? But why would we need school choice in your views, right? Like, I'm confused now.
Point Democrats don't stand on school choice.
What is his fucking stance on the black community? Does he? Are we free loafers? What is it? Because like right now, I'm highly confused.
And I think young black people, even like my son, should have the choice to go to the school that I think is best for him.
Well, he should stop.
We can go down the list. Illegal immigration. What I guarantee you, DL will be arguing me that it's wrong that Donald Trump deporting all these Mexican people. He didn't say nothing when Barack Obama did it, and Barack Obama was the deporter in chief. He deported more people than anybody in history.
That is correct.
So I think that every single point that D.L. Hughley has ever made that I have listened to him make is always incorrect. He probably thinks
just for shits and giggles, the difference between Barack Obama being the deporter in chief is that there was not a lack of due process. I don't get why it's so fucking difficult for Republicans or for conservatives or for jackasses to understand why people feel the way they feel about it. It's not that you're deporting. If you have a criminal, get them out. Get them out. Of course, if they're here illegally, they're not supposed to be here illegally. That's understanding. However, there is still due process that is due. And if the fucking government can just say, nah, fuck all that, they can do it to us. They can find a reason. Somebody can commit a crime and be like, no, we don't deserve due process. Your president is actually trying to figure out how to ship out criminals, natural born American, red blooded American criminals, to fucking El Salvador prison, or to get them to build one so you can ship them out the country. Where's that due process? That's what the fuck the problem is when it came to immigration. It's about due process. It's always been about that. Always. It's not been about the actual deporting. Never was it about actual deporting, like, undocumented immigrants or people who are here illegally. That wasn't the problem. It was how it was done, the ethics of it, the morality of it. That's why that was an issue. I really need people to start thinking critically. I really need people like Stephen A to actually do some research. If you're going to ask these questions, if you know they're going to talk about, hey man, do some research yourself, use these, I would say ground news where they actually compare fucking resources from both sides and like go at these individuals. I'm actually tired of individuals like Stephen A. Smith, Chris Cuomo, and even Bill O'Reilly. They just doing things. They're just thinking, okay, well, the left is this. The Democrats aren't doing anything right. AOC Bernie, Cory Booker. There's even a congressman that's trying to do articles of impeachment. Jasmine Crockett are trying to speak up. There's a lot of things that are actually being done that Democrats are trying to do with as little power as they have, and they consistently get shit on by these idiots. That's annoying.
Thinks that Shador not going in the first round is racism because he has this vitriolic behavior against white folks. I don't think that had nothing to do with
what
race. He think the kid who stabbed the young man in Dallas in the chest is that they're railroading him and it's racism. Well, I was a police officer. I know what probable cause looked like, and I read the law in Texas, and it was a reasonable charging of that young man who killed another person. So he would never pick the side to support anything white, even if the white person is right.
Is that the way you feel about any black person that has an issue with what we're seeing from Trump, its administration, or the GOP?
I've seen him on
or
so many platforms.
Is that message especially for D.L. Hughley because you're familiar, or you say you're familiar with some of the things he said?
It's specifically for D.L. Hughley and D.L. Hughley likes, because there are people who are educated that just have a difference of opinion or they have criticisms. Right. I don't agree with everything Trump does. I've been on his head. His last term, I was all over his head and people wanted to unfollow me. I don't, these people ain't paying my paycheck. So I don't need to do anything for anybody. I'm just here to tell the truth and keep it real. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump has done things that have been questionable, in my personal opinion, with the vaccines and all of the such. Tariffs as well. To tariffs, I agree with Trump. I believe in Trump, and in good faith, I think he's doing the right thing. But if a person came out and said, look, I'm concerned about tariffs. I own a company, Stephen A. We partner and do things overseas, and it's going to hit us. But I do believe that Trump is doing the right thing for a good reason, and I'm optimistic about the outcome. But if D.L. Hughley came on and said, I think the tariffs may be a bad idea, citing these reasons, I'd say, okay. But D.L. Hughley, you can say, he says, Donald Trump is removing black existence from society, which is the most asinine thing ever. And you would ask him, what are you referring to? He'll say, books being removed. Mm-hmm. If you go to Florida and you look at the 120 plus variation of books that have been removed from the Florida school system, it was removed because of pornography. It's because they're showing nudity and talking about sex with elementary students. But D.L. Hughley don't do any research. He won't look up anything. He just know that he has to oppose Donald Trump at every end. And here's another thing, Stephen A. If you ask him if he come on your show, what's something that Donald Trump has done that have been positive? He will not have nothing to say because
unlike fucking Republicans, there's actually things that the left we can actually say he's doing good in. And I would say, although I'm not going to give him 100% credit, but as the undocumented encounters, the illegal encounters at the border has gone down. It has stayed down. But I will state, September 2024, it's been going down. It's already projected to decrease. It was probably going to be here at this point if Biden was president, just by default. But at the same time, Donald Trump is the president, and the encounters are low. I gotta give him credit. He ran on it, and that's what's happening now. I disagree with how it's being done. I don't like how it's being done because I believe there's due process, and I don't trust the individuals operating it. If fucking Dr. Phil is running around following ICE agents to these, like, why the fuck is he authorized to do some stupid shit like that? But whatever, right? Pretty much that's it. I live in America, so I do hope that his fucking tariff gamble works, because I don't want my pockets to continuously get fucked. But that's the only thing I can do is give him some sort of credit on the border. That's about it.
He can't say it because the people, I call them the people of the melanin, will eat him alive. If he decided to go to the White House and say, look, I'm going to set the record straight with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump say, DL, come to the White House, let's talk. DL won't go to the White House. Even if he could talk to Trump, and even if he could confront Trump face to face, he won't do it because he know he ain't researched nothing, and the black people will eat him alive. Stephen A., you've experienced it. You say one thing that sound conservative, and they eating you alive. And now you're a Republican, and now you simping for Trump. Saquon Barkley gets invited to the White House like every other person who wins the Super Bowl. I mean, it's not the first time in history of Super Bowl champs have been to the White House.
Right.
And I'll say this, when Biden was in office,
I mean, Barkley said he actually went to play golf with Trump. He actually went to play golf with Trump. So it's not just a White House visit. I would think people would be weird for hating them for going to the White House, because it's just something that happens. When teams win Super Bowls, Stanley Cups, NBA Finals, they're going to have players that's probably going to go there too. But at the same time, you know, you only live once, so going to the White House, I guess, is something that can be on somebody's thing. My audio's not even fucking reaching the thing, but whatever. People are stupid. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Who opted out? I don't know if any Republican opted out when Biden was in office. And I tell you what, people on the Kansas City Chiefs, there's a bunch of them that are Trump supporters.
Right.
That's because we don't have that vitriolic behavior against Joe Biden, even though he was way worse than anything Trump could have ever done. But I'll say this, Stephen A., and then I'll shut up. I want to see us unite.
No, you don't.
I want to see us stop arguing and bickering over stupid stuff. Let's be informed. I would love to sit down with D.L. Hughley if he wanted to act in good faith. We need to have a better country. We need safety for everybody, not just black people. And because I have a blended family and a lot of people that work for me and that I know, investors.
This is the thing, the fucking hypocrisy, bro. I mean, like, oh, what is he doing? What is Kamala doing for the black community? But then you go ahead and you tell us we need safety, not just for black people, but for everybody.
Business partners, mentors are of every color.
You know,
we should be focused on saying, how do we all win together? Not running around picking tribes and saying, I'm only for the black people and I'm only for these people. That's never going to work in society. It's never going to work. And I hope that black people wake up to this. We cannot isolate ourselves in a cocoon.
This is the Sambo character that people keep talking about. It's just unfortunate that this person is always propped up on probably one of the biggest platforms, not just Stephen A. Smith. I've seen him on Piers Morgan. And like, I hope that every single time he gets on these type of panels, that there's somebody there that just destroys his shit. This is probably one of the most uneducated individuals that I've seen in a while come on Stephen A.'s podcast or talk show. Once again, not getting enough pushback, in my opinion. I don't like it.
And think we gonna live in the inner city community and somehow show the white man. That's not America. That never will be America.
Let me say this to you before I let you go. There's a couple of things. Number one, I appreciate that message because I co-sign with you 1,000% on it. We do need to come together. And my definition of coming together is being able to have a conversation and not looking at one another with vitriol because we disagree. Let's butt heads and see whose ideas are better. In other words, knowing policy, knowing objectives and agendas, and coming to a conclusion as to whether what's right and what's wrong, and in our mindset, what would be the reason for that? I've heard Officer Tatum and your crew criticize me before, and I've gone like this. Well, damn, you know, they might have a good point there. I didn't see it that way. Well, let me look at that. And then there are other things that are like, no, I'm not budging. I think I'm right. And they're wrong. Which is why, by the way, I ain't just asked you to come on my show. I come on your show anytime you want me to, my brother. I ain't hiding. I'm here. But I think that the most important message that you're giving is that the Democratic Party has had the black vote for the most part since the 60s. And we've been so transparent in our support for the party that it's given them a license to take us for granted. And it's given the right a license to ignore us because they assumed they wouldn't get our vote anyway.
So I mean, like at that point, are we blaming both parties, or are we just blaming the fucking Democrats? I guess that would be my question. I blame both parties when it comes to, there is definitely a disconnect between politics and the political party and the actual needs of black people in America, because we're a minority. So yeah, people are going to overlook our plight. That's just something that's unfortunately a given. And I guess we need to put people in offices that actually speak to what we need. Our approaches need to be different. But bullshit like this, we just consistently just, hey, let's just throw up. Let's beat the shit out of one side, but then lightly jab another side. It's two wings on the same bird here. Neither party has shown me, at least, that they are 100% for the black community. The Republicans have been standing on business when it comes to fuck black people or fuck people of color, because everything that could benefit us, DEI, get out of here. Affirmative action, get it out of here. CRT, let's get it the fuck out of here. As a matter of fact, if you're teaching any sort of black education and actually telling the truth about the American history in the past, about slavery, about how evil your great white grandparents were, I'm defunding your school. So yeah, there's an attack on black education. This is so fucking stupid, bro.
Therefore, we're the ones without representation, and then we're wondering what the hell has happened. Now, Trump disoriented stuff a little bit, because I think I never called him names and all this stuff. My issue with him is how he behaves, because I think the presidency is a statesmanship position. And if you don't know how to act and you busy tweeting, going after Kathy Griffin and everybody else, something like that, as Cat Williams joked about one time, that's problematic for me, but that's it. And that's how I look at it, and anything else,
the talking point here, and like, I've been watching this shit, is a fucking shit show, is like, you have Officer Tatum on the right, who's just a fucking cuck for the right, for Donald Trump, who's been sitting here on this fucking platform telling Stephen A that, hey man, black people, they're just bitching, they're just complaining about everything. They're still complaining about abortion, they're still complaining about this. He's blaming us for our downfalls. Like, it's everything that's ever happened to us as black people is because of black people. Never once does he mention, oh, well, shit, it's because of governments. It's because of the way the system is built. And meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith, who in 2020, he took his platform, First Take, one of the most popular sports brands. In 2020, he took it, changed it, and talked about social issues when it comes to injustices from the police brutality or injustices that black people are facing. And he's giving this individual no fucking pushback. None whatsoever. I don't know. Shit pissing me off.
I'm like, listen, he'll get away with what you want him to get away with. Every president in office wants their policies, and you've got senators and congressional figures that are going to support you. They're going to sway you one way or another. Everything's open for negotiation, and that's the way that it should be. So I completely support where you're coming from in terms of keeping an open mind and listening, and I get where you're coming from. I'll give you the last word in this question. As a black man in the United States of America, with Trump in office right now, with everything that you've already said has been going on, due in large part to the left, where do you see us going from here? Because there's a lot of black people that don't see progress when they think about Trump.
It's a great question. I think that it's on an individual basis, because there are people who are never going to change. They're never going to like Trump. They go to these churches, and these pastors are telling them that the white man is the devil and Trump is the devil and Elon is the devil. And some people are never going to change. But
I want to see a video of somebody, if a black person, if a black pastor, or anybody in church is saying, "Hey, man, the white man is the devil."
The ones who want to change,
in movies.
The ones who are sick and tired of being sick and tired are going to open their eyes and say, "I'm done with listening to news. I'm done with listening to pundits. Let me do my research because I want what's best for America."
That's funny. This guy doesn't.
We all have to live in this country. It's not just a black country. It's not a white country. We all have to live here. And those people, Stephen A., like yourself, because we disagree on stuff too, but you a real man, and that's why I respect you enough to come on the show, because we can disagree, but we can still top it up.
That's right.
Some people can't do this, Stephen A.
Right.
Some people, they in their feelings. You say something about them, they want to fight you and all this.
Yeah.
And so the ones who are open-minded like yourself, because you weren't always like this, Stephen A., you didn't always feel this way, but at some point, because you're a rational person, which is why you're incredibly successful, is that at some point you're like, I'm a critical thinker. Let me look into this. Let me not just believe one thing. Mm-hmm. And then boom, your eyes are open and the veil is off. Let me just say this too. I don't agree with everything Trump does. Me and you are on the same page with some stuff he do make me cringe. And I'm at home with my wife being like, if he don't stop doing it, what is he doing? Can somebody get him and coach him to have the decorum?
What got you feeling that way?
Today.
Give an example.
Well, today, I was looking at him do an interview. Of course, he called a guy out at the Oval Office. He said he was fake news. But Donald Trump shared a post of the MS-13 gang member that had designs on his knuckles. Okay. Somebody didn't tell Trump that the MS-13 letters at the top wasn't a part of the original photo. Someone interpreted the designs on the fingers and they put, this means M, this means S, this means 1, this means 3. Donald Trump is on the thing arguing that his knuckles say MS-13. That stuff makes him look bad. When Donald Trump came out against LeBron James, and I have so many criticisms of LeBron James that make me sick. Not basketball. LeBron James is him in basketball. Nobody can deny that.
Nobody.
It's when he go out and talk about politics. But Donald Trump saying negative things about LeBron James. When Donald Trump said negative things about Rihanna, to me, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Why would you engage in that? Let the pundits talk trash. You are above the fray. You the head coach. You the man at the top of the food chain. Let them argue down here and you play the game of the middle at the top. When I say middle, meaning places where you can unite. We talk about Taylor Swift. Yeah, I didn't like Taylor Swift doing a little shenanigans and pretty much encouraging people to vote Democrat, which it didn't work. But why talk about Taylor Swift? You are above the fray. You are the president of the United States of America. He do a lot of sneak dissing on people that are beneath him. And those things bother me about Donald Trump, in my personal opinion. Him arguing with the media every day. At some point, you have to say, I'm not talking to them. But you're not going to catch me during COVID while we're talking about COVID-19, talking about you fake news. That hurt him in the election with my dad. Mm-hmm. My dad said, I like his policies. But the way he handled COVID in the press, he said, I can't deal with it. And you know why my dad feel like that? Because my dad is a man of integrity. My father worked 40 years as a firefighter, retired twice as a chief. My dad is a man of integrity. He raised us right. My dad is conservative. He's no nonsense. He has decorum. He treats people with respect and kindness. He's a man of God. That stuff that Trump does turns him off. Right. Now, I'm trying to get him to look at the policy and not the person, but if I could give Trump any critique, I'd say scale back on that stuff. Just focus on the policies. Mm-hmm. Be a uniter. Mm-hmm. Let the pundits talk the trash. Let Caroline Leavitt talk trash and bash the media. You come out and lift people up. You come out and be an encouraging factor to the American people. Don't get in the mud. And he would be beloved amongst everybody.
Officer Tatum, man, I got to get on out of here, but I got to tell you, the mentality of looking at the policy, not the person, is something that I've grown to adopt and embrace even more so than ever before.
That's a poor choice of, I don't think that's possible in this case, Stephen A. I mean, I can understand what you're saying. Separate the man from the music. No, we can't do that. R. Kelly still did what he did. separate the man from the music. No, we can't. Diddy still did what he did. And no, we can't separate Donald Trump from the presidency because we already have like one term to judge him off of. He tried to overthrow the government because he didn't want to leave office. He didn't trust the democratic process, right? He even tried to get fake electors in. So, no, we have to judge the man that pardoned people who attempted an insurrection, who attempted a coup. We have to judge that man who was found liable for sexual assault. We have to judge the man who literally, when you go back and watch these tapes of the individual, remember they said they knew Donald Trump way before then. This is the same Donald Trump that told a 10-year-old in the fucking Trump Towers, hey, he told her parents, hey, I'll probably be dating her in 10 years. That's a 10-year-old girl. It's a 10-year-old girl. He said that shit. This is your president of the United States. Unfortunately, my president of the United States, because I am a citizen here. So this is the president of the United States. So no, there's no separating the man from the fucking policies. And just go ahead and finish. This is crazy.
And I think this last election sort of solidified that, but also listening to people like yourself and others. Again, we don't agree on everything, but I got mad respect for you, my brother, and I know you're doing big things. You got over 3.4 million subscribers on YouTube, people listening to you every day. You making an impact. You sensible, you open-minded, you fair-minded, and I got a lot of respect for you, man. So I'm really, really happy that you took time out of your schedule to come on the show. I appreciate it. You know you always got room here to holler at me, so it ain't no problem at all.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna end this thing up by saying once again that I really feel the viewers see exactly, hey, what's going on. To see exactly what's going on. What the fuck are you doing? Okay. To see exactly what's going on and how people are feeling, but we also have to be educated to give them proper pushback. I respect Stephen A. But what Stephen A's been doing lately has been I'm a centrist, but he says he leans left, but I feel like more so you're a centrist that kind of leans right. You're a little bit too sympathetic because every time you want to condemn Trump for something, you gotta, hey, don't forget, don't make excuses. I still don't like the left because XYZ, 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 XYZ. Chris Cuomo does the same thing. Bill O'Reilly, whatever. But I gotta honestly feel like we need more people who actually hold these larger platforms. So I don't know. I feel like if we're going to actually do this, we have to be educated, especially as black people. I hate seeing black people have this type of discussion and we're just not educated on it whatsoever. We don't hold each other accountable whatsoever. This man Brandon Tate is fucking bought, period, point blank, bro. I never heard a black man say straight up to my face, I would never allow it on a platform to tell me that, hey, yo, we're just fucking complaining. Black people have been behind the 8 ball forever, and we're still trying to catch up in a system that in 2025 still doesn't want to tell people the truth about what actually happened when our ancestors were slaves. They want to make sure they never see that. That doesn't see the light of day. They want to make sure the next generation, they want to ban it so much that by the 3 generations from now, people are going to forget that it even existed. Critical race theory, get it the fuck out of here, right? We're talking about an age where it's scary. It's potentially scary to be a part of the LGBTQ community because there's so many things coming after them. We have people, when it comes to trans community, it's just under attack. Their rights under attack. Their existence under attack. It's I don't know. I feel like if we're gonna have these type of platforms, I feel like it needs to be boosted. I think I'm gonna switch this platform up and probably have people join me on these things once I get completely set up. set up, because I actually do want to have full conversations with people, because this type of dialogue, it needs to change. We need to have more intellectual conversations, and Stephen A is not conversating with an intellectual. He's conversating with a cuck, a cultist. So yeah. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm about to end this fucking stream. I really only wanted to talk about